Welcome back to the weekly news roundup. This is the privacy edition with some security thrown in on the end. Man, we've got boatloads of data leaks this week. We're just going to cover a couple of them. Very interesting indeed. So first, let's go ahead and get jumping into, we have literally two articles, and then Apple just went down the privacy loop. And so it's a question. Is it really decent for privacy or is it not? We'll get there. But anyway, before we get into Apple, is there a way out of Clearview's facial recognition database? Well, the short answer is no, of course not. Some countries and states, even for that matter, in the states here, do have laws that say that, hey, you can request to delete data, but there's no long-term point that says you're not allowed to store data. So you could request the data to be deleted on the 31st of the month, and then tomorrow they just, let's just re-scrape it all back in there again. And so, so that's really what they're doing. But there are some ways that people are experimenting with it. There's, for example, a couple of different methodologies that they put down here where they were taking some photos and running them through some image manipulators that I think it's this one. Is it Fox? Released by the University of Chicago Sand Lab, pitched itself as a potential antidote to Clearview's pervasive scraping. So it subtly alters parts of an image that facial recognition uses to discern one person from another while trying to preserve how the image looks to humans. So basically it's a way to mask who is in the photo to AI, but it does not mask who's in the photo to people. I think that could get a little bit weird from time to time, but as that goes on, what we start to see is that Clearview will adapt until actual laws and actual teeth is put into effect that prevents Clearview from scraping data, forces them to delete data upon request, and prohibits them from collecting any future data on people who want to be opted out. Until that happens, there is actually no way around it. And so with all of that being said, this is just looking at a couple different ways to get around it. And the shorter answer is no. Once you're in there, you're pretty much in there. All right, so from Yahoo News, Facebook is developing a SmartWatch with AR control. This thing has multiple cameras. I mean, just think about this, guys. This picture is perfect because every time you're wearing this Facebook watch, just picture that is looking at you. Right there, the Zuckborg is looking at you. You will be assimilated. You will be assimilated. Resistance is futile, right? And so imagine this. Facebook now collecting all the stuff that invasively is collected on a watch. He now knows your heart rate. He now knows your breathing. He knows when you're asleep. He knows when you're awake. He knows if you're a good boy or a bad boy. Maybe he'll put on a bunch of weight, grow a beard, get fat, and, deliver presents under the tree. But nevertheless, Facebook is working on a smartwatch that is looking to have multiple different cameras, more sensors than you can possibly imagine, all to feed the Facebook data. Guys, we need to stop it. You need to take off the Fitbits. You need to take off the Samsung watches. Anything you have that is automatically collecting and syncing stuff into a cloud, you need to get rid of it. Especially since it appears as though Apple is the leader in these. I don't know how, but maybe it's just the people who want smartwatches tend to also be the people with Apple devices. Even though Apple is not the highest by smartphone usage, they are the highest by watch uses. So this is watching you every time you put on the Facebook watch. So next, Apple, they're going into some forays here. First, Apple is going to let users' families see members' health data. Now, think about the technical aspects. The technical aspects of this mean that there is some form of connection that provides a permission inside of the software. What this actually means is that a hacker could get in there and just toggle that thing on and turn this thing on for the whole world. Or they could just fudge their way onto your approved list. Don't think that can't happen, and don't think that it won't happen. In fact, I would probably wager now that you turn on a feature like this, it's very probable that somebody's going to figure this out in very short order, in all honesty. Now, what it's going to theoretically do is you have your phones collecting all of your health data, storing it securely on Apple's private servers. FYI, guys, Apple does not store your data in such a way that they cannot see it. While it is on your phone and only your phone, allegedly they can't specifically get access to that. But once it is on their cloud, check the terms and conditions. They have access to that. They can decrypt that. They have a master key. They have a backdoor to anything and everything that is actually on their servers, including all your health data. But what you can do is you can go through and specify people who have access to some of your health data. So, apparently Sean has one alert. There's a change. He looks like a kid, so maybe he's choking on a chicken bone or having a reaction to the Fauci ouchie. But with that being said, what you can do is you can go in and you can choose who in your contact list can see your stuff. This has the positive elements that if you have an elderly parent, you can have an alert if the phone senses that they fell. You can be alerted. This is a good thing in a way. However, it also opens up the possibility that a software update glitches, a hacker gets in, and basically your health data could be shared with the whole world. So these are kind of some of those things to think about with Apple. The next thing Apple is doing is they want to be able to officially hold your ID. Your driver's license, any state-funded ID. The cat, I think, is knocking on the door. Very interesting. Okay, there's a box. The cat's knocking on the box. I can't hear anything through the walls around here. Anyway, Apple Watch will support IDs and driver's licenses in iOS 15. So the idea is you come in here and you scan your ID, whether it be a state ID, a driver's license, whatever it happens to be, a Fauci ouchie certification, whatever else, and then you can now use your phone as your ID. I mean, what happens if you accidentally drop your phone? Oh, you left all your ID at home because you got the convenient phone, and then you're stranded somewhere overseas and you can't get back because your phone's broken. Yeah, it's exciting. Kind of funny story. The first time I ever flew, I think I was like 17 or something. I fly across the country alone by myself, visiting somebody in California, and we go out to fly out, and I was like, okay, well, I don't have I think I had a driver's permit maybe, but I didn't have a license yet. And I didn't have any other ID or anything else. Because, what 16, 17-year-old, I think I was 17, what 17-year-old needs ID or whatever else? So I don't have anything with me, right? So we fly out, no problems at all. But when it comes time to fly back, they're like, we need to see your ID. Like, I don't have ID. I flew out here without it when I need to come back. So he's like, well, okay. Here's your social security card, I guess you have with you. So if your signature matches your social security card, then we'll go ahead and let you on the plane. So we did that, and it matched, of course. Fortunately, my mother had lost my social security card only about a month or so before this, and so we got a new one to get it. Good thing, too, because the previous social security card I got when I was in second grade, and trying to match the signatures between a second grader and a senior in high school, I'm sorry, you can't say that word anymore. That's a woke word. Fourth year in high school, then I'm sorry, you can't fly because apparently you're not a second grader. So I guess the phone could have handled all that stuff, but basically now your phone can get in there and it can take care of your ID. And then several airports are trying to implement this so you can actually store your photos, real ID status, all this kind of stuff, all on your device. Isn't that glorious, guys? This is so stupid and dangerous. Don't buy into all of this nonsense. But that's not all. Of course, part of the right to repair argument, Apple keeps on saying, well, you could take your device to one of these shady third-party back alley places and they could steal your data and blah, 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 blah. Yeah, there's no known instances of that happening yet, but there's multiple instances of Apple. So Apple paid an Oregon woman millions after certified Apple technicians used her phone to post her explicit images and videos. So they're repairing the phone. Hey, it's working. Whoa! And then they went tubing it, I guess. And then after they were done tubing it, they decided to go ahead and send those photos to themselves. So here's Apple saying, oh, we don't actually want the third-party repair having access, because that's a serious privacy risk. Yeah, it's their actual employees that are actually the privacy risk. This was actually a little bit older of a case, but it finally got a resolution this week, and this is not the only case. There's a few of them. And finally, the new iPhone Health app gives doctors easier access to your data. Not only can you share it with your family members, probably your friends, your neighbors, the guy you met at the party last night, accidentally turning them all on their giving them access to your health data. Oh yeah, now patients can share their health data directly with the doctors, so the doctor can see everything. And this is now, guys, just where it's, can you not see what they're doing? They're just collecting a giant group of health data. This is that endpoint of the selfish ledger. We're going to collect all the data, store all the data, and then guide you in the directions we want you to go in so that you join the Borg. This is insane, people. Don't be doing this nonsense. Yes, Apple is becoming way more privacy invasive. Some might argue they always have been, but we don't need to be collecting and storing all this data and then sharing it with our doctors and sharing it with our contacts, all this. What happened to the days when you go to the doctor and, you talk to him? Of course, you can't go in and talk to the doctor anymore. You get in there and you got like 3.2 seconds with a doctor after having 4 incompetent nurses come by, and then you're telling the same exact thing to all 4 of them. Oh, Lord, all right. I just go, let me record this so the next nurse comes in, I'll just play it back for you so I'm done. That way you got my story straight every time around as well, So, but yeah, they're working on being able to share your health records directly from their servers that they have access to directly with your doctors and other people as well. And stick around for the business section this week, and you'll see that even the health insurance companies are going, how can we screw more people out of their money? That'll be interesting. So we'll go ahead and have a look at that in a little bit. Well, you can help support the channel by having a look at our affiliates. Today we are featuring A2 Hosting. This is where I've hosted several clients in the past. I moved off of it just because my needs are too big for a place as HostGator right now, but it is still an excellent service. I still highly recommend it. And you can get shared hosting as little as $3 a month, dedicated up to $120 a month, which is actually a decent price for dedicated servers. And you can do a simple non-managed VPS for 5 resellers. There's a whole lot of different things that you need. You get free SSLs. They're not connected to the giant EIG company. And when you call them for support, you actually get somebody in your own country, most likely. So there you have it, tlm.li/A2H to use my affiliate code if you'd like to help support the channel and you need web hosting. Let's jump on over to security news next. So first up in security news, the FBI sold phones to organized crime and read 27 million encrypted messages. They were encrypted. They just had the encryption key. If it doesn't dawn on you, this is exactly what the FBI would like to do with, WhatsApp and Signal and iMessage and every other platform, which is why they want backdoor onto everything. Clearly, you don't need it. You end up taking down a whole lot of guys. There's a giant global operation. The FBI coordinated with M8 and security officers in all sorts of different countries. They took down a whole lot of guys. Leave our encryption alone and keep on pulling the stupid criminals off the street by selling them your own hacked stuff. That's cool. No problem with me. But yeah, they sold encrypted devices to hundreds of organized crime syndicates, resulting in 800 arrests in 16 countries. Law enforcement agencies announced the FBI and other agencies intercepted 27 million messages over 18 months before making arrests. Don't forget, guys, one of them was arrested for posting cheese. Be careful what you post on social media. They fingerprinted him from the cheese picture. This was that platform, I believe. So anyway, be careful about these types of things. And first and foremost, guys, stop breaking the law. Literally, just stop breaking the law. And I guess I could also say FBI, stop forcing people to break the law. Well, a Capitol Hill vendor was hit by ransomware attacks. It was a tech vendor. used, was it called iConstituent? It was basically used to organize communicating with all your different constituents. So, oh great, the hackers probably got all of our data because these politicians are feeding our information into it from anywhere and everywhere they can find it. So they did have some ransomware attack. They did make a point. It was, it's left and right wing. So, no right wing death squad or libtards involved. Just flat across the board, bipartisan hacking, guys. That's what it was. Bipartisan hacking. I have a little bug there in my camera. Let me do that. There we go. So with that, you got to be careful, guys. The ransomware is indeed everywhere. And next up, we have hackers steal a wealth of data from EA. They didn't get customer data. They end up getting data on the Frostbite engine. They got source code for a lot of different video games. So start expecting to see some knockoff video games pretty soon that look really, really good. So EA did lose data. They did make it clear no public or no customer data was compromised. They only got into like a coding and a staging server, places for the developers to work, not for their customers to go. So, yeah, there's that. And now how a nameless malware steals your data and gets away with it. So this is an interesting one because what it was doing is, this is Windows. So those of us using Linux, we can point to our favorite Windows fans and go, neener, neener, neener. And what was happening is there's a malware that they still don't know exactly what it is, but it is compromising and collecting all sorts of data. The database is 1.2 terabytes. Passwords and usernames in plain text. It's grabbing files from the desktop and from downloads folders and scraping everything together and figuring out what's being used where. We don't know much about it, except we know that it's spread by illegal software downloads, so pirated copies of Photoshop, Windows cracking tools, and various pirated games. The malware also photographed the user if they happen to have a webcam. So maybe that's how Tubinet happened. And I keep on bringing up Tubinet because he's back on CNN today. So anyway, so it kind of gets in here and says they really don't know exactly what this is yet. It's just tied. The only thing they know is that the infected machines tend to have used some form of pirated software. So there you go. Make sure you're not pirating software and you'll be good. Just switch to Linux, guys. You can find what you need in the repos. And they talk about how to stay safe, using password managers, grab real information, encrypt your files, things like that. And so there you have it, guys. Be careful of the unknown malware. And Rocky U 2021, this is a follow-up to the Rocky U. This is a massive password compilation, 8.4 billion entries. That would be, 1.25 entries per person on Earth, something like that. And so it is a large collection of passwords been leaked on a popular hacker forum. The forum users posted a 100 gigabyte text file. That's a big text file. 8.4 billion entries of passwords, which presumably have been combined from previous data leaks and breaches. All passwords included in the leak are 6 to 20 characters long with non-ASCII characters. So guys, don't be doing that. Just use weird stuff. So there we have it. There's some passwords leaked. And with a collection that exceeds a 12-year-old namesake by more than 262 times, the leak is comparable to the compilation of many breachers. So there we are combing through the breaches. How to check if it's leaked? Well, they do have some data leak checker. So you can go ahead and check your passwords over there. And what do you do if it's leaked? Change your passwords, dummy, I guess. So you have it. Using some 2FA is good, as long as you're not tying it to a phone number. That is a good approach to do. And with that, guys, that is our security news and breaches of the day. You can help support the channel over on Subscribestar, subscribestar.com/switchedtolinux. You can jump in over here and that is a great way to help support the channel. Thanks for watching, everybody, and we will see you in the next crazy nonsense. Thank you for watching this video from Switched to Linux. This channel would not be possible without the backing of the program supporters scrolling on the screen now. You can be a supporter at Patreon at patreon.com/TOMM or at thinklifemedia.com. I also want to thank the open source community who creates such excellent software that makes producing this show possible. Please remember to support your software communities. Thank you, and I hope that you enjoy switching to Linux.